The summer the fleas got us, I had been telling people for years how to handle fleas, and then one August my own living room started jumping, and I had to eat every word with a spoon. Hey, here's how I knew. I was sitting on the couch in shorts watching a ball game, and I looked down at my shin and counted 4 little black specks sprinting toward my knee like they had somewhere to be. I said a word I won't repeat on camera. My wife walked in, looked at my leg, looked at the dog, looked at me, and said, "Well, you're the expert." That is a humbling sentence to hear in your own house. Now here's the funny part. I did exactly what I tell folks not to do. I panicked. I drove to the hardware store on a Saturday afternoon and I bought the can. The big can. The one with the angry bug on the label. I came home and I hosed down the carpet like I was putting out a kitchen fire. And 4 days later, they were back. Worse. Like I'd made 'em mad. So I sat down on the porch with a cup of coffee and I thought about it the slow way, the way my grandfather would have thought about it. And what finally broke the cycle in my house was a box of plain table salt and a jar of food-grade diatomaceous earth, about $9 at the grocery store. By the next Sunday night, the carpets were quiet. No fogger, no exterminator, no monthly contract, no chemical the dog has to sleep on top of. And nothing I'm going to walk you through today will harm your kids, your dog, your cat, or a single honeybee in your yard. That's the line I won't cross, and you shouldn't either. I should probably tell you who's talking. Name's Walt. I'm not a salesman, and I'm not the fellow with the truck and the hose. I'm just a guy who got tired of watching neighbors pay good money to have poison sprayed where the dog sleeps and the grandkids crawl, when the cheap, boring way actually works better. I learned it the slow way on my own carpet the summer I just told you about. Here's the thing that started bugging me even more than the fleas. Once I figured out the real fix, I realized how cheap it was. $20, maybe 30. And I thought, somebody out there has known this the whole time and just hasn't been telling people. Because a one-time fix doesn't refill itself. A monthly contract does. There's no business in curing you. There's only business in managing you. $60 a visit. $200 a visit every month, year after year, for a problem that should have been over by Halloween. And the stuff coming off the end of that hose down along the baseboards where the toddler crawls and the dog naps, a lot of it is the same class of chemical that's been hard on honeybees and hard on pets for years. Read the label on one of those jugs sometime. You won't want it in your house either. So I'm going to show you exactly what I do, in the order I do it, and what it costs. Calm, cheap, and once. Now before I get into the steps, I have to teach you the one thing about fleas that changes everything. If you understand this, the rest of this video makes sense. If you don't, you'll keep losing to them the way I lost the first weekend. A flea has 4 stages of life: egg, larva, pupa, that's the cocoon, and the adult, which is the one you see hopping on your sock. The adults you see, those are maybe 5 out of every 100 fleas in your house, 5%. The other 95 are eggs, larvae, and cocoons, tucked down at the base of the carpet fiber, under the couch cushion, in the cracks of the hardwood, in the dog bed, in the bottom of the laundry basket. That can of spray I bought in my panic, it killed the adults I could see, made me feel like a hero for about 4 days, then a whole fresh wave hatched out of the carpet, and I was right back where I started, only meaner. Oh, boy. And that cocoon stage, folks, that thing is armored. Sprays don't get through it. It sits down in your carpet and it waits. People ask me all the time, how long can fleas live in a house? Honest answer, the adults don't last all that long without a meal, maybe a few weeks. But the cocoons can sit there dormant for months, waiting on the vibration of a footstep or the warm body of a dog walking by to tell them dinner is served. That's why the one big Saturday treatment fails. That's why the exterminator has to keep coming back. He's not a genius. The cocoons just hatched on schedule and his phone rang again. So here is the rule that beats fleas. You do not try to kill them all on Saturday. You make your house a place where every new flea that hatches dies inside of a day for several weeks, until the cycle runs out of fuel. And you have to hit 3 places at the same time: the pet, the house, the yard. You miss one, the other 2 reinfect, and you're starting over in November. Alright, let me walk you through it. Step 1 is the pet. Before you touch the carpet, you handle the animal. You start where the fleas are eating them. You're going to give the dog or the cat a bath in plain warm water with regular Dawn dish soap, the blue stuff. Work it into a real lather around the neck, the belly, and the base of the tail. That's where they hide. Let it sit on them for about 5 minutes before you rinse. Now, Dawn doesn't poison the flea. What it does is break down that little waxy coating on the flea's body, and the flea drowns right there in the suds. It's a mechanical kill, not a chemical one. That's why it's safe enough to use on a puppy or a kitten that's old enough to be bathed. While the coat is still damp, you take a flea comb. That's a metal comb with the teeth set real close together, about $4 at any feed store. And you comb the animal slow, from the head back toward the tail. Have a bowl of soapy water sitting right beside you. Every time you pull the comb out of the coat, dunk it. Anything that's alive on those teeth drowns in the bowl. Then here's the part most folks skip. For the next several weeks, you comb that animal every single day. 5 minutes, it's your early warning system, and it's how you catch every new adult coming up before she lays the next round of eggs. Now, if your case is a bad one, really bad, the dog is miserable, you're losing sleep, talk to your vet about an oral tablet for the animal. That's a conversation between you and the vet, not me. I'm walking you through the chemical-free side of this, but I'm not going to pretend the vet doesn't exist. Step 2, strip the house. Every dog bed, every cat bed, every blanket the animal sleeps on, every couch throw, every pillowcase in a room where the pet hangs out. It all comes off, and it all goes in the washing machine on hot wash, hot dry. That kills every stage of the flea, eggs, and all. That part is not optional. If you've got a dog bed that's so far gone you don't even want to wash it, pitch it. Buy a $10 one at the farm store, cheaper than another exterminator visit, and a lot less embarrassing. While the laundry's running, you vacuum, and I mean you vacuum. Carpets, rugs, hardwood, tile, the cracks where the baseboard meets the floor, under the couch, under the bed, behind the recliner. Pull the couch cushions up and get down under them. The vacuum is doing 2 jobs at once. It's sucking up adults and eggs, and the vibration of the machine is actually waking up some of those cocoons so they hatch out where you can deal with them. That's a feature, not a problem. When you're done, take the vacuum bag, or dump the canister, outside. Not into the kitchen trash, outside, into a sealed bag, into the outdoor can. Because if you dump it in the kitchen, you have just rented the Fleas a heated condominium right next to your pantry. Step 3. This is the heart of the whole thing. This is the part that won the war in my house and salt-and-diatomaceous-earth. Here's the shopping list, a big box of plain fine table salt, the cheap stuff in the round box, not the fancy sea salt, you want it ground fine, and a bag of food-grade diatomaceous-earth. Food grade, say it back to me, food grade, not pool grade. Pool grade is treated different, it's for swimming pool filters, and you do not want to be breathing that. Food grade DE runs around $15 a bag at the feed store or the garden store, and one bag will treat an average house twice over. So what is this stuff? Diatomaceous-earth is a soft, chalky powder made out of the fossilized shells of tiny little water creatures from a long time ago. To you and me, it feels like baby powder. Under a microscope, though, it's sharp as a busted bottle. To a flea or any soft-bodied bug, crawling across it is like crawling across broken glass. It scratches up that same waxy coat the Dawn went after, and the bug just dries out and dies. Mechanical, not chemical, no nerve agent, no poison, no resistance built up over the years, no residue your grandkid is going to lick up off the floor. The salt works on the same general principle. It pulls the moisture right out of the flea eggs and larvae down in the carpet fibers, and they shrivel up before they ever hatch. Here's how you put it down. Mix it about half and half, salt and DE in a bucket. Use a flour sifter or one of those big plastic shakers you'd put Parmesan in, and dust it lightly across every carpet, every rug, and every upholstered piece of furniture in the house. Lightly. I cannot say that enough. You are not trying to build a snowdrift. You want a fine, even haze that settles down into the fibers. Then with a clean broom or a stiff brush, you work it in. Brush it down into the carpet so it reaches the base where the eggs and the larvae actually live. The top of the carpet is not where the fleas live. Down at the roots is where they live. You have to get the powder where they are. Then you leave it alone, 48 hours, 2 full days. Keep the pets off the treated rooms if you can, just because the dust will track around on their paws. Close the rooms up if you can, go about your life, and let that powder do its quiet work. After 48 hours, you vacuum the whole house thorough, slow passes, get every bit of that powder back up out of the fibers, bag it, outside, sealed can, same drill as before. Now step 4 is where most folks lose the war, and I want you to listen close. You do not stop after the big vacuum. You repeat the vacuum every 2 to 3 days for the next 3 to 4 weeks, every time the bag goes outside, every time. Why? Because the cocoons. Remember the cocoons. They are hatching on their own schedule no matter what you do. You cannot kill the cocoon, but you can absolutely kill every single adult that crawls out of one every 2 days before she lays the next round of eggs. You do that faithfully for 3 to 4 weeks straight, and the cycle just collapses. There is nothing left to hatch. The house is done. Now I owe you my honesty beat. I owe you one of these every video, or you shouldn't be listening to me. You will read on the internet that you sprinkle salt on a Saturday and the carpet is clean by Sunday morning. That is not true. I've seen people claim 24 hours. In my hands, on my own floors, 48 is the minimum. And the real work is the month of vacuuming after. Anybody who promises you a one-day fix on a flea problem is either selling you something or they've never had real fleas in their real house. Also, cedar chips, lemon spray, the little ultrasonic plug-in gadgets you see at the checkout counter. I'm not going to tell you any of that stuff is harmful. I am going to tell you I have never once watched it clear a real infestation, save the money, put it toward the DE salt, DE hot wash, slow vacuum. That is the real list. Step 5 is outside, the yard. Let's see. Because if your dog goes out, your dog is bringing fresh fleas back in, and your whole month of vacuuming is going to be Sisyphus pushing the rock. You do not have to treat the whole yard. Fleas don't live on sun-baked open lawn. They cook out there. They live in the cool, damp, shady spots, under the porch, under the deck, the edge of the woods, the side of the shed where the dog actually flops down on a hot afternoon. Dust those areas lightly with food-grade DE on a dry day, just the shady runs where your animal rests. Reapply after a heavy rain, because once DE gets soaking wet, it stops working until it dries back out. Now let me pull back for a second, because I think this part matters most. The cheap way here is also the kind way. Your dog isn't sleeping on a pesticide. Your toddler isn't crawling on a pesticide. The honeybees working the flowers out by your mailbox aren't catching drift off your baseboards, and you are not on the hook for $60 to $200 a month forever for a problem you could have ended in one weekend in the fall. That's a rare thing. The cheapest way and the most honest way being the same way. Hold on to that. So here is your whole weekend, start to finish, the way I'd do it if I were standing in your kitchen. Saturday morning, bath the pet with Dawn. Strip every bed and blanket and couch cover, wash on hot, dry on hot, vacuum the whole house, carpets, cracks, cushions under everything, dump the bag outside. Saturday afternoon, mix the salt and the food-grade DE half and half, dust every carpet and every upholstered surface, brush it in, close it up, walk away. Monday, vacuum it all back up, bag goes outside. Then for the next month, vacuum every 2 to 3 days, comb the dog daily, dust the shady spots in the yard, stay on it. Total damage, Dawn, table salt, a $4 flea comb, a bag of food-grade DE, $20 to $30 depending on the size of your house. Compare that to a single visit from the truck, and then compare it to 12 visits. And if you want every pest worked out this same plain way, ants, roaches, mice, ticks, wasps, the whole list, with the exact recipes and the shopping list all in one place, I've put it all into a guide called the Chemical-Free Pest Bible. Links right below this video. Same thing I'd hand my own brother-in-law Dale, who has paid for everything the hard way and is the reason I make these videos in the first place. Now do me a favor before you go. Down in the comments, tell me what's biting you and what state you're in. Fleas in Georgia behave a little different than fleas in Montana, and I read every single comment. You tell me where you are and what you're dealing with, and I can usually point you at the next thing worth watching. Next time I want to talk about ticks, because what works on the flea is cousins with what works on the tick, but there's a couple of differences that'll save your dog some misery, and I want to walk you through them the same slow way. Until then, go enjoy a quiet carpet. You earned it.